So, in honor of the 10th anniversary of Journey into Mystery, let's talk about something that's not actually Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's our show!
Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum. Wah.
Just repeat to yourself, hey, it's just a show. I should really just relax. For Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay.
Welcome. Yes, this is the 10th one. We actually made it this far.
Indeed. It's
Yay us, apparently.
remarkable when I reach 10 of anything. And let's...
So, yeah, when I was doing the list, I kind of was looking at it and like, you know what might be fun just to break things up? If we tackled some of the post original Mystery Science things from the Mystery Science cast, provided there was like a story, like a fiction behind it. Because there was no way in hell we were going to tackle everything riff tracks. That's just
Yeah,
not.
it's just unfeasible.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't afford that.
Yeah.
I would absolutely want to support them, and I could not afford that. But you can buy what we're doing, one of the cinematic Titanic episodes. You can buy a near full DVD set of that. Apparently, there's like two live show movies that is not on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you can still get the film crew, which we will tackle those as well.
Yeah, I liked those. They were sadly short-lived.
Well, I need to do some research on why they were short lived, but we'll hit that when we hit our first film crew. But I think it's also amusing that the first cinematic Titanic we're doing is also one that does not involve the story of cinematic Titanic. Because there is. So, for those who are unaware of what the hell this is, Cinematic Titanic was Joel's first return to riff stuff well after, riff tracks had gone forward. And he brought back Trace Beaulieu, J. Elvis Weinstein, Frank Conniff, and Mary Jo Pehl to be in the. So it's a 5-person riff, which is not as crowded as you'd think it is. To be honest, it works better than you'd think.
Yeah, it does work better than you would expect with that many riffers going at once.
I'll talk about the story more when we get to a story based one, but they were original independent DVDs, kind of like the film crew was, and they had the whole Shadowrama thing going with people on stations. And they would break it up with the occasional. Everything was in that, stark silhouette. All the sketches. They had Dave Gruber Allen playing a character who would show up in these. There was a lot of Joel's love of kind of concept comedy, but they started moving to live shows where you couldn't do that, and they just kind of abandoned the story of the cinematic Titanic thing altogether. For the longest time, they would put those out on DVD too, but for the longest time, I just couldn't afford it. I A lot of riff tracks and a lot of cinematic Titanic hit at a time where I just did not have money.
Yeah.
Just paycheck to paycheck, I was covering, the basics. And what I did have to spend on fun stuff, it was like, well, I could get this thing that'll last a while, or I can get this one DVD.
Yeah, I'm
No,
very familiar with that circumstance even now.
yeah. But the fun part is, of course, that eventually most of them ended up on Hulu for quite a while. And then they didn't. But now they're on DVD and you can get the set. And I think the 12 movie set is definitely worth a buy. If you enjoy Joel's era of stuff, yeah, definitely. And I would rate today's what we're talking about, the Alien Factor. I'd honestly put it in one of my top 10 favorite like mystery science alum riffs ever.
Yeah, it's a very good riff.
I mean, it's got the energy of live shows. Always have some really good energy,
Hmm.
and we know that because that's kind of where we got our start doing this crap, doing live shows for the Transformers convention.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a really good energy, and they picked a movie that is right in that sweet spot. It's that 70s era. It's got just enough budget to do things okay, but not well. And it's a bunch of amateur actors and non-actors. It's like a hometown. It is it. Mwah, it's a perfect little movie. Do you want to explain the general gist of the movie?
Okay. The general gist of the movie is that someone had a costume trunk of mid-range monster costumes, and all of them crash land on Earth, and a chubby guy who is about as convincing of a hero as Rosdower goes around very clearly being an alien and kills them all before he turns into roast beef and is himself shot. Oh, and there's a stop motion monster that's pretty good. Also, no one in this town has the right cars.
How so?
As they riff, have you ever seen a two-door police cruiser?
Yeah.
State trooper comes in a VW Bug.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Mary Jo
ambulance-
got a lot of good riffs on along those. That car has a definite "my brother's going to kill me if we don't have it back by 6" vibe.
Yeah, yeah.
It's that kind of movie. It's that where all the cars. These were not cars for a studio. This was I own this car. It's in the movie.
Yeah, it's very clearly a film made by the people the person making the movie knew. At first,
Including the band.
yeah.
I love it when bands are in movies and they just stop it dead to play a song.
Yeah, anyone
That's always great.
as anyone who follows my Tumblr knows, I refer to that as a genre of film of we'll let you film the if you let us put your song in the movie, we'll let you film the music video as part of it. Very much a Babel in Howling 2 situation. Or Kiss Kickers 99 in Hobgoblins.
Yeah. And this one is just some ripe slice of late 70s.
Oh, it's not late 70s. This film was filmed in 1972. It wasn't released until 1978. So these people were ahead of the curve on the terribleness. They had a vision.
Yeah, just lots of leads to a lot of jokes about like Three Dog Night.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the I mean, that's just the character. The band is just the ultimate expression of that. Actually, I really do like Josh's quiff. You know, in the middle of it.
Jesus, how much money did the director owe these guys?
Yeah, that was a good one. Oh.
So yes, it takes place in outside Baltimore, in the winter, in some trashy little town. So you have about 12 people. So just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, if you live in Oklahoma and want a simulation, go to Atoka during the snowy season. Have you ever heard of Atoka? Of course you haven't. That's the whole point.
Oh, yeah, it's a vaguely horror movie because these alien monsters just kind of randomly kill people, but the scenes take forever.
Yeah.
And the monsters are goofy in that they're very 60s goofy looking.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're clearly suits that someone has put a lot of work into, like the incredibly tall Cyclops, for instance.
Yeah. Well, the credits, say, created and designed by, and each one had a different design. So this is clearly these people's babies. They are very proud of this, and they were really working hard, which is in itself a disaster of hilarious proportions.
Yeah, like one of them is a guy that appears to be just burned flesh. Uh, one of
A
the
kind of insectoidy,
yeah,
crispy thing.
there's an insect man who kind of looks like he stepped out of the Guyver.
Yeah,
Um, Not the animated one. And then there is the sort of maybe a
Sasquatchy Cyclops in platform feet.
yeah, with stilt legs.
Yeah,
And there's a stop motion critter. Stop motion critter ain't
hmm
that bad.
it's a decent enough stop motion. It's just that they're putting it on a like they putting it on real terrain in the film, and it absolutely does not line up with the terrain at all.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It's clearly just on a flat, a flat surface that they could shoot the critter on.
yeah, and it also is fighting the hero in a way that is very clearly not actually fighting it.
where the hero is just kind of waving at the air, and he doesn't know where it's actually supposed to be, and they just kind of nudge the superimposed critter in the vague general direction.
But this one kind of falls into the same category as Laser Blast, where it's like, yeah, they need to be commended just on the basis of having done some stop motion in the first place.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's not bad stop motion. In all honesty, it's just badly composited into the scene. Actually, that reminds me. I don't. I was reading about. Apparently, there's a Doctor Dolittle movie coming out with Robert Downey Jr. in the lead role.
Yes, yes.
I was just skimming a few like tweets about it, and apparently, the the first director. So there's a initial hint on how this one is going over.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, decided you didn't need to like block out where your CG animals were going to be when you were shooting in this movie that's going to be like 90% CG animals.
Oh my.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, that's always a good sign. That ought to be a nice little disaster.
I look forward to not seeing it.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort in here. I do not it's clearly a place where there's some effort and some money, but aptitude and acting are not there.
Yeah, this is one of those movies where I expected there to be no extensive Internet Movie Database entries, at
Mm-hmm.
least for acting. But I was wrong. Actually, two of the people have a lot of credits.
Hmm.
Now, one of them is because it's Richard Diesel, and he played.
Who was?
Let me see, where is he? Let's see, Alien Factor, Alien Factor. He's the mayor.
Oh, okay. The kind of the clammy Chevy Chase.
Yeah, the mayor has a lot of roles because he was apparently Washington D.C.'s Bozo the Clown.
Huh.
You know, back when they would have different, like each station would have their own Bozo the Clown show.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and on that he created a character named Count Gore Devol, who was a spooky movie host,
Mm-hmm.
and he apparently kept that role going from the 60s all the way up to, let's see, last year.
Hmm.
And Count Gordeval Presents, a TV series.
Well, good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, I say that honestly. Yeah, spooky movie host of that kind going that long. Damn, yeah.
Oh, another fun bit of trivia about this movie is that the director, not having been satisfied with having done this movie once,
Mm-hmm.
made it again under the name Night
Yeah, I
Beast.
remember reading about that.
And he was one of the many actors that came back to reprise his role in the remake. Or he
Who was he in this one?
Uh, he was Mayor Wicker, and in Night Beast he was Mayor Burt Wicker.
Oh, okay.
And the other person who had a lot of roles was George Stover. And he, let's see, was Steven. Do you remember which one that is? They kind of blur together.
No, I don't remember which one Steven is.
Well, apparently he is Baltimore's son of crappy horror movies. And, because he's in a lot of films, all of them with names like, oh, he was in Hairspray, that's interesting. He was also a Night Beast, reprising his role. But things like Dracula's Widow, Blood Massacre, Red Lips, Twilight of the Dogs. Let's see.
How does one massacre blood?
I don't know. Maybe the massacre is particularly bloody. And Bloody Massacre was already taken for the trademark. And even into the 2000s, movie Miss Werewolf, Chainsaw Sally. Yeah. Everyone else was in nothing. Like, the editor went on to do a whole lot of stuff, editing. But, yeah. Okay, we had a little bit of a technical hiccup there. All right, I was talking about George Stover, who was one of the people on the film that actually had a lot of acting credits.
And heir to the Russell Stover fortune. No, I'm lying. I'm lying.
But according to his Internet Movie Database entry, acting was only his side job for many years, where he worked in Maryland's government for almost all of his adult life. And yet somehow he wound up being in dozens and dozens of films. I guess there's not a lot to do in Maryland.
No, that's the impression I've always gotten of Maryland.
I mean, he was the president in 2050's MILFs versus Zombies. So, yeah. Just a man with a passion for public service and terrible monster movies.
And public humiliation, apparently.
And being in Hairspray somehow.
Not to get all cinema sinsy on this, because, kick me in the nuts if I do. I had an idle thought while watching this.
Okay.
Why did our hero alien bother talking to the mayor and drag him out so he could... At the very end of the movie, he says, my job was to do this with as little, notice as possible. To which the obvious joke, well, you nailed that. But he goes to the mayor first thing and announces it and says, oh, yes, come along with me while I go examine the woods. Where did he get the car also? Why does he have a car? Does he transmute the car like he transmutes his self, I guess? But just turn into a human and do your job on your own, quietly. You don't really need to involve the mayor and let him know, oh, by the way, aliens. That seems a little counter to your plan of being careful and quiet.
I have a suspicion that the twist was not written until they'd gotten that far. This doesn't exactly seem like a movie where they had a script editor.
It does not seem like a movie where they had a script. They had monster makeup, and they thought, that'll do it.
Yeah, I had actually seen this movie, Unriffed, before.
Where did you manage to do that?
it was on a collection of like 20 science fiction and horror movies for like $5 from Walmart.
Ah, one of them.
Yeah. And it was in color, so it was one of the ones I watched.
Hmm. God, I've got one of those. I wonder if it's on there. Because I know I got one that had a ton of them, and it also had a bunch of, of the Asylum films, which that was back when we thought we would be doing a lot more reviewing than we ended up doing.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I remember we had this vague idea that what we would be largely reviewing is bargain stuff.
That was our general.
Stuff you can get for $5 or less, and whether or not it was worth $5.
Yeah, that was our general oeuvre.
Yeah. And then we just kinda didn't. Them's was a lot of work.
Yeah, they. A full review is a lot of work, and
Well, more accurately, a good
yeah, that.
full review. I would like to think that what we did was pretty good stuff, and there are some people who can pull it off really fast. But yeah, we got to this point where everything was at least half an hour.
Oh yeah, yeah, and because of the genre that we had picked, we were specifically going after films that no one really cared about. Were not terribly great draws. I think like Clash of the Titans was probably our best, like most prominent film.
Well received.
Yeah.
And just so we're not saying we will never do reviews again, just we need to find a real gem. Well, actually, first we need to finish one that we've had a script for forever, and then we need to move on and do a real gem.
Yeah.
There's a tangent for you.
Yeah. I will give this movie this. I didn't hate it.
No, there is something likable about this movie.
Yeah. The monsters were not quite as good as I remembered, but it was like the third or fourth thing on this set of DVDs that I watched with a friend of mine. And I think the other things on the DVD had kind of lowered the standard of monster creation, lowered the effects bar a bit. And so it was like, oh, wow, they actually got like multiple monsters. And
yeah, well, I do believe that this crew would also go on to do a movie that was on the new Netflix Mystery Science. What was it? When Time Stood Still or something? Why have I blanked on the movie name? It was part of the Gauntlet, and it was the one where the family goes out into the desert and they get attacked by stop motion things and.
Yeah, I vaguely recall that. They blur together a lot. Let's see. Hang on just a moment to see if I can find the director. Let's see. I'm looking at Don Dohler, the director.
Okay, so The Daytime Ended.
The Daytime Ended.
Oh no, that was Charles Band. I got confused. It was Charles Band who was our Laser Blast.
Yeah, yeah. Because this guy has directed 7 things, and one of them was a remake of this. It's Alien Factor, then Fiend, then Night Beast, which is Alien Factor done again, then The Galaxy Invader, then Blood Massacre, and then Alien Factor 2, The Alien Rampage, which is a separate, non-related movie that was given the name Alien Factor, and then Dead Hunt.
A remake of Blood Massacre.
Wow. Like, I know
that's
people
his
say that
seventh
certain
movie,
directors...
and his second. His 7th movie was a remake of one of his previous 6, and 2 of them.
Yeah. I know that they say that there are some directors that are just making the same film over and over again until they feel they get it right. But this guy seems to have taken that literally.
Oh dear. Sorry, I just saw a link down at the bottom. Don Dohler's Night Beast gave J.J. Abrams his start in sci-fi. Well, Well,
That stuff's not all bad. I mean, I have gotten my ticket's worth out of a couple of things, and his TV stuff I enjoy, typically. But,
no, it is always amusing when one of these turns out, oh, this is where some of these like big names ended up getting their starts and paying their dues.
oh, if it weren't for shitty movies, we would not have a ton of actors and
Oh yeah.
directors. Because, yeah, I mean, the classic one is is Jack Nicholson, whose first acting credit was Little Shop of Horrors, the original.
Oh, there was also Clint Eastwood in Revenge of the Creature.
Mm-hmm.
A young Clint Eastwood, which is a hard thing to fathom.
To imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he like a waiter in that or something?
No, he was a lab assistant who had the
Oh.
comedy moment
Yeah.
where he
Mouse in
couldn't
the
find the
pocket.
rat that was in his pocket. This is honestly a fun little movie. I would honestly watch this unriffed too.
Yeah, it's a fun little film. It's definitely something that you can get together with your friends and make fun of because it does have it is sort of like one of the perfect riffing movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's got enough space that if you're joking about stuff, you're not going to miss anything important, but not so much that it drags and becomes soul crushing.
Yeah, it's never slow. It's got good pacing. Well, I mean, there's a couple of bits where they've clearly stretched out. I mean, Joel jokes about a sequence with some kids playing that's in slow motion. And I will say it is also weird to hear a riff, especially a Joel era riff, where they frequently use the word shit.
Yeah.
Not a complaint. Not a complaint.
No, it's just you're just not
After
used
basic
to
cable.
yeah. You're not used to it from Joel.
Not really used to it from Mike or them either, because they don't. Because even Riff Tracks doesn't really do. It's even rare for them to do a bleeped obscenity, and that's mostly for impact.
Yeah.
So just to hear Mary Jo Pell, well, you ain't seen shit. It's funny. Let us talk a little bit about the riff too.
Okay.
Like I said, I think that this is really strong. There's chunks of cinematic Titanic that kind of drag for me. I've watched the whole thing, and I need to kind of watch a bunch of especially the ones with the Shadowrama thing going again. But this one is just firing on all cylinders, and a couple of the other live shows are really good at that too. Like some of them have clearly not done this for a while. And in fact, weren't really before, like, Mary Jo and Frank were never really in front of the camera riffing for most of the,
Yeah, they would have like one episode per run
that they
allow
would
them
be
to.
there for a little bit. And Josh wasn't there for years, and although apparently he kept very busy on the stage. I mean, he was doing a ton of stuff in TV, in the writing room, but apparently he was doing a lot of stand up and local improv stand up too.
Oh, okay.
Because he's got a thing now. The thing I really enjoy is there's like when he first got to work with Andy Kindler, it was on like an alternative comedy stage, and Josh was working a puppet in a dumpster, and they just let Andy Kindler get up on stage, and he kind of goes through an improvised bit, and Josh is there haranguing him via puppet. And Kindler's, I don't even remember the same. He's like, it's just that alternative comedy, And Josh just goes, well, I think you're a delightful alternative to comedy. But no, they are really just. It's kind of, it gave me a very Riff Tracks feel where you can tell that these are people who have been working together for a while. They've been doing this thing for a long time. And while they got a little rusty in the downtime, they're back and they're in the groove, and there's just this energy from the live audience.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a couple jokes, and there's a couple jokes especially that I'm torn. I want to say them, but I don't want to ruin them.
I think this is one where perhaps less is more, because this is one of the first ones where it's legitimately a track this down and see this, people. This is worth seeing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I said the jokes are just on fire. I mean, it gives them lots of opportunity, like I said, to make a bunch of jokes about 70s bands
Mm-hmm.
and shoddy towns and bad actors. It also contains possibly one of my favorite, for lack of a better term, visual riffs. There's the sequence where, like the nephew of the doctor is out in the woods along with the reporter girl.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a can of gasoline because he figures maybe we can burn the monster. And you see the point of view shot of the monster coming towards him. Hey, look out! And the guy takes the can of gas and chucks it about 2 feet in front of him. Like he does this yeah throw. And it just the gas can lands 2 feet in front of the camera because he can't throw it at the camera. He might hit the camera, and that's their only camera. And so he throws it, and the gas can lands, and the audience loses it just at that.
Mm-hmm.
But then Josh just kind of goes, throws up his arms, and just walks off stage. It's just this, like, fuck this movie. It is nice also. This is a case where the live shows for Cinematic Titanic, they put they've got cameras, facing everybody, so they put the riffers on the sides, so you can watch their reactions. And there's some really good moments of just them interacting, not with the movie but with each other.
Right.
There's some good visual gags in a couple of them. East Meets Watts has a really good one. They're cracking each other up. I gotta kind of wonder how much of this was like they've written their own lines, or it was just all farmed out. Because there's definitely some theming, I guess you could say. Maybe not. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Because I'm struggling to work it out.
Whenever you're doing a good riff, it's a good idea to have in mind people's individual voices and to treat the riffers as characters in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, they tended to keep running gags specifically to specific riffers.
Mm-hmm. Like they don't really have like super distinct riffing styles, but there is definitely there is a general tone towards them.
Yeah.
Mary Jo tends to lean more towards the dry acerbic observation.
Yeah, and she cracked most of the car jokes, as I recall.
Yeah. Trace is very he's very Crow, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Trace is very Crow.
Josh is a lot of just
Yeah.
But he's got a good voice for that kind of
Well, you're looking
and he's not playing a character either, too, so this is just his natural speaking voice.
Right. Which I like a lot better.
Yeah.
Whether they were independently, kind of coming up with their own stuff, or if it was assigned to them by a writing group or whatnot, they had a definite feel for the strengths of the individual riffers and played them well.
Yeah. Yeah, because Joel also has a tendency to go on weird tangents. Because that's just his humor style.
Yeah. Weird tangents and 1970s pop culture references.
Yeah. And Frank, oddly, a little mean. It's
Yeah.
a primitive species, which explains its fondness for Carlos Mencia.
Yeah.
And there's good improv in there too,
Yeah.
where they're bouncing off each other. I still, hey, it's the air conditioner where they found Legionnaire's disease, and there's just this moment's pause, and then Frank, what? Too soon?
Uh, oh. Yeah.
And yeah, just there. Like I said, there's two. It's Josh and Trace have the riffs of the show, where the audience loses it, and when you're watching, you can see the other people on the stage, like either covering their eye or just out loud, just corpsing so bad.
Yeah.
I got nothing but praise for this, really. I mean, it was one that I watched the hell out of when it was on Hulu, and then they took it off Hulu, and I bought the DVD, and it is one where if I just need something in the background that I don't need to pay attention to, but I really enjoy, that's honestly one of the discs that I'll pop in really often. And the other movie on that disc is also a pretty fun one. Which, oh God, I don't even remember what it was called now. It's about people on an island. It's a foreign dubbed film.
Yeah. I did not watch it from the DVD, so
Yeah,
I wouldn't
we need to
know.
get you on Cast or something, so we can
Yeah.
so we can watch some of these together.
Yes.
Okay, Danger on Tiki Island. That was it.
Danger on Tiki Island. Yeah, that sounds promising.
But yeah, you've got let's see, I believe it's all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got 12 DVDs. Got 12 episodes. 5 of them are live shows, and then there's I have not. You found somebody had saved the recording, the audio recording of one of the live shows that never made it to DVD. And you can
Oh.
find. I will say, go if you can find that on YouTube. That one on YouTube. Watch it. It would be Astral Factor. This is one where I will go ahead and say, yeah, watch this. Go ahead and watch this on YouTube, because you ain't gonna. There is literally no way to see it in a way that will give Joel and company money.
Yeah, it's a circulating the tape situation.
Yeah, I am, as always, a big especially now, because who has them now? Is it Shout Factory? Yeah, Shout Factory has the Mystery Science rights, I believe.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
at least the
so-
old, the older Mystery Science.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Cinematic Titanic. You know what? Let me double check that before I'll fix it in post.
Okay.
Oh, they've got the Gauntlet. Is there not a? All right. Oh, wait a minute. You go to Shout Factory. There is, in fact, just straight from Shout Factory, MST-3K store under shop.
Oh. Also, just in general, the Shout Factory YouTube channel has tons and tons of these. Tons of Mystery Science series. Not Cinematic Titanics, sadly, but they do have tons of MST-3Ks that are just, there for whatever.
Yeah. And okay, yeah. Shout Factory did do Cinematic Titanic. But yeah, apparently Rhino was not great about giving people, giving like the crew royalties.
Oh.
But apparently that's part of why even Riff Tracks has like Shout Factory's Mystery Science on stream through their, through the Riff Tracks site, because Shout Factory is giving these past royalties to everybody involved. Which, fantastic, great.
Yeah, no, actually paying them, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently that was kind of a issue for quite a while. Back when I think Jim Mallon still had control of the name and all
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I no, this is absolutely something to track down. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, Cinematic Titanic, complete collection, a mere $40. A mere $40 for 12 shows, included, and one of them is including a re-riff of the full Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
Oh, always a classic.
Yeah, that's one where there's 3 different riffs of that one. Now you've got the original Mystery Science, you've got Riff Tracks' take, and then Cinematic Titanic. So that's all. Oh God, how are we going to handle that when we get to that one?
We spin
Well,
the wheel and
well,
maybe
tell you what. I can watch the Cinematic Titanic one. You watch the Mystery Science take, and we'll
sounds like
just
a
let
plan.
Riff Tracks be itself. You know what? No, I'm going to make that call. Let's go ahead and we'll add Riff Tracks to that too.
Okay.
We'll plunk
Sounds
down
good.
for the Riff Tracks version of Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, because if we're going to do 2, why not do 3?
Why not indeed?
Why not make life harder on ourselves?
It's worked so far. Okay, I haven't got much left.
No,
Anything?
there's this is just a fun movie with with a crew that really is in the groove, lots of live energy, and it's an inexpensive and fun piece. It's an inexpensive purchase for
Yeah.
especially for what you get. Like I said, these came out when you would pay like $20 for a single for a single episode DVD of these, and that was really rough on me. But nope, $40 for 12 episodes of this thing.
No, that's a
No,
good price,
yeah, that's good stuff.
and we can
It was a
we
purchase I am glad to make, and you can't see. I've actually got the Cinematic Titanic poster that they sent me up on my wall. It's just outside of camera range during the Isla Rangoon stuff, though, unfortunately. But
yeah. No, it does well.
yeah,
All right. Well,
and it
uh,
is always nice to just see the crew. I mean, yeah, this was 10 years ago or so, but it's nice to see everybody. They ain't lost it.
that is certainly true. All right. Well, I'm Trent.
Greg, smash that like button. Commit war crimes against the bell. Subscribe.
And fire a thermonuclear cash bomb at our Patreon.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah. Oh, somebody. Heads up. Somebody requested a short that we're not going to tell you what it is. It's somebody did the yes. Here's a short. Riff this for the money.
It's gonna be an experience.
We're working on it. Whoo boy.
All right.
Maybe it'll go viral.
One can only hope. Ah. Good night, everybody.
Nights. Hey, Pipples! Did you like that bit of nonsense? Well, then why don't you click like and subscribe and press that bell or whatever YouTube wants you to do?
You can also do us a big solid by joining our Patreon, where you'll get to join us for live streams, get early access to the newest videos, and other such things.